All right. Welcome, everyone, to our October GEGUtah uh, meeting, I guess. We are excited to have everyone joining us today. We've got kind of an exciting lineup. We are going to be focusing in on a specific tool. In this case, it's Google Forms. And we're going to share out just kind of a bunch of different ideas, different things that you can do with Google Forms, some things hopefully you didn't know about. Hopefully we're showing you something new today. So what we're going to do is jump right in here. We're going to keep this pretty quick to start things out today. We have got some quick announcements from Matt, just kind of some GEG updates in general. And then we're going to go down the list. We've got Deanna, Kelly, Emma, and Matt, and then myself. And we're all going to share a quick little Google Forms tip, and then we will go from there. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Matt here for just a couple minutes, and we'll go on through our agenda.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Ian, and thanks for hosting this week. We really appreciate it. I'm super excited to be here, folks, and super excited to be a part of GEGUtah's October meeting. We've got a great roundtable lined up for you. Couple announcements, couple things. If you are interested in joining GEGUtah, we have a great link for that that's going to be posted in the chat after I get off. You can go ahead and join and be a part of the community that's statewide, nationwide, even worldwide, which is incredible. And a couple updates. Number one is that we just hit 89 members, which from last month that's about 30 more people. So we're hitting about a person a day adding to GEGUtah, which is incredible, and we're very excited about that. The second thing that I want to talk about really quickly is just a reminder about our weekly GEGUtah training sessions for Google Level 1, Google Level 2. Those happen on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. And if you're part of GEGUtah, all the information for that is on our Google group. So you can grab that and get to the Zoom room and join our trainings every week through the first week in November. So very exciting on that as well. With that said, I'm going to turn it back over to Ian, and we're going to jump into our Google Forms share round.
All right. Thank you, Matt. All right, let's go ahead and go ahead and jump in. I think we are still waiting for Deanna to join us, so we're going to go ahead and actually jump. We'll skip her and come back at the end. So let's jump straight to Kelly. So let me jump ahead to Kelly's slide, and then she will join us, and she's going to take us through this quick little Google Forms tip, and we will go from there. Okay, we're just getting the right person on. There we go. There's Hi. Kelly. Welcome.
Oh, Deanna says she's here, so if she wants to go first, that's fine. We can just rewind back.
We can do that. Sure, we can go backward. So we're gonna change that up again.
I'm here.
There's Deanna. Welcome. All right, Deanna, why don't you go ahead and give us a little tour of your Google Forms tip here, and if you'd like to share, just let us know, and we'll make sure that we can.
Yeah, I was just going to share if that's possible. You can put me in on my form here. I've got it all set up, ready to go. So,
all right, we'll just
hopefully will work.
Matt a second.
So
Matt is managing the behind the scenes here, so we
no problem.
Deanna, you should be able to share if you just hit the share button at the bottom of the screen.
Got it. Okay, share screen. Okay, that's the one I want to share. There we go. Everybody see the Google form that I have set up? It says The Mitten by Jan Brett. Good, awesome. Okay, the tip I'm going to give you today is that it's easy to change up your forms by adding images to them. And one of the things is over on the side here, you have a link over here that says you can add images, but you can also click on to a question and add an image either here right next to your title or for each of your indicators that are answers that you want the students to choose from. So like you can click on the image, it'll take you, you can either upload, use the camera, the built-in camera, by URL, photos, or Google Drive, or you can actually do an image search. And so if I wanted to find a picture of an owl for this assessment, here I could click on the owl picture and insert it into my form. And the picture is actually going to show up underneath right now as you're doing your assessment and creating it. But then when you preview it, it's going to show up actually with the picture on top and the words underneath. So this is one that I created, a form that I actually created here for the Mitten by Jan Brett, where I actually embedded the video, because you can put videos in also. But you can see how I've got the image there with the options for each person for the students to choose what they thought who lost the mitten, and then I also did who sneezed. So I added some different images into this assessment to kind of make it a little bit more engaging and fun for the students to do, and to give me another piece of formative assessment data. So that's the tip that I wanted to share for Google Forms, is adding images.
That's fantastic, Deanna. I love that. And I also think it'd be such a great tool for some of our younger grades teachers as well, who are working with students who are maybe not quite able to read text yet, but still,
Exactly.
you still need to collect feedback. That's awesome.
Exactly. So
All right.
hopefully I have fun with that tip.
Great. Thank you. Let's go ahead and keep moving on. So we'll keep going ahead. Kelly is next. So we'll have Kelly pop up here. And again, same thing. If you're ready to share, we'll have Matt manage that.
All right.
And if you haven't yet, just click on the screen share at the bottom, and then he'll make sure that it pops up for us.
Okay, so I click share screen. Sorry.
Yes. And then we should be able to, Matt will, once you've got it sending to Matt, he'll make sure that it pops up here.
Oh, well, my computer says it doesn't have permission to do it. That's fun. That's what happens when you get a new computer.
You can always describe it.
Well, that's all. That's totally fine.
And you can always just describe. Okay. You've got all the screenshots and everything here as well, so that's perfect.
Yes. Yeah, the only thing that I wanted to share today was how to change the confirmation message in your Google form. And I know that this was a question on I can't remember if it's level 1 or level 2 certification, but one of the test questions is how to change this message. So a lot of times when you submit Google Forms, it says your response has been recorded, and it kind of sounds like a robot to me. So I just put a screenshot here on how to change that. So if you go over to settings on the top of your screen, and then you click on presentation, and then you click on confirmation message, there is an edit button. Thank you for modeling that. So there is an edit button down there under presentation.
Right there.
Yep. And then you can type whatever you want to write there. So I typed, "Thank you for being awesome." But I know that I've used these for digital breakout rooms, and I say, like, "You've made it through the dark tunnel to the light," or, you could do like a pirate theme or adventure theme. So it's kind of fun to be able to change that message so students know that they've completed something. And then there was one more thing, Matt. I put a link back in the slideshow. I got this in my inbox this week, a little link to Apple World Teacher Day. So they celebrated that a couple of days ago, and I thought the video was perfect for kind of what we've been doing in our Google group with furthering, integrating educational technology. So Matt, I was wondering if you could push play on that. It's just 1 minute, but it kind of goes over how students are able to create instead of just take paper and pencil tests. So I think that goes along well with Google Forms today.
All right, let me see if I can get the volume up here, and then I'll restart it again.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Let me go back to the beginning. There we go. Awesome. Oh, it's repeating. There we go. Okay. Kelly, thank you for sharing that,
Thank
both the
you.
tip and the little video. We super appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and keep moving on. Our next share out is going to come from Emma. So we'll give her just a second to pop up here. There she is. Go ahead, take it away.
Hey everybody, I'm excited to be here. I just wanted to jump off of Kelly, what she just said about breakout rooms, and show you how you can do feedback validation on breakout rooms. So I'm also going to try to share my screen, and I'm hoping that will allow me to do that. Give it a second to load. Can we see my screen now? We're good? Yeah, it looks like that's coming through. So I just want to talk a little bit about feedback on forms. So I've put the directions here, and you can actually use your Google form to give hints on those codes. So I have this example. It just says Google form breakout form example. And when you type in an answer, so like you have your students, they're looking for a question or trying to figure out a problem to solve. Mine just says type an answer, but it will actually give them information. So if I said like hello and I click off of it, it will give them hints. And when it validates, this hint won't pop up and they'll be allowed to submit because they have the right answer. This one just says answer. It's super easy to set up, and it's a great way to make a breakout room. When you come down here, so this is my example question with the type and answer, I always turn on and make it required. That means that students won't be able to go on or submit the form until they have that answer. And then if you click these three dots, it's called a kebab menu. I don't know why they're all food, but they are. You can turn on this response validation. So I'm going to turn it off. This is off. And then turn it back on. This is what it looks like on. And you can give them a custom error text. You can set things that are numbers, text, a certain length. So like it has to be 5 characters or 3 characters or 2 characters, and then some expressions and different things for math. I always use text. So if I wanted to set this as answer, and then usually I put hint, or if they got the right answer, if they hint, this is what you use to answer, that will pop up for them just like this on the form. So I'll show you one more time. It's a great way to give your students feedback too, to say like, oh, that's not quite right, try doing this, and a great way to help your students feel connected and able to engage in a way without you having to give like individual hints to every student or individual feedback. Even though that's a really good practice, but you can't be everywhere in a breakout room. And so my students love it because they can be like, oh, I can go in and see where I need to go next and give those directions, and it helps them keep them engaged longer. So super easy thing to set up. Just click those 3 dots and use response validation. So that's my tip.
That's awesome. That is a great suggestion. We have also done that for some breakout rooms, and
Awesome.
it's always good too, because sometimes I'll create a breakout room and then forget maybe what the actual clues were. It's a good teacher tip as well. You can go back and look at the response validation to remind yourself what the hints are. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that is a great idea. I've also seen some teachers use response validation for things like spelling tests as well.
Oh, yeah.
Where they go ahead and they set up their spelling test using response validation, and that way they can give their students that immediate feedback as well, especially practice.
I was going to say the other thing I've also used it for is if you put like a bit.ly link in there, just like a link shortener, you can actually link it to videos on how to do it. And so like I've seen some of my math teachers do that with Google Forms, that they'll put the video on how to solve the problem in that response validation area so the student can watch it and give them feedback that way, which I think is an awesome way to do it as well, just to make sure that students are getting that feedback they need from you to be able to be successful.
That's fantastic. All right. Thank you, Emma. Let's go ahead and keep moving along here. Next up, we've got Matt. He is going to talk to us a little bit about some recent updates that have happened in forms.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ian. Super excited to be here, folks. we are going to talk about just a quick update that Google made to, I think, make everything so much simpler for everyone. But before I get to that, I do want to continue off of Emma for one of my favorite things that I did with forms when I was a teacher. If you do a short answer or a paragraphed answer or question, and you go down to response validation, just going along with that, they give you a length minimum character count or a maximum character count, and you can set that number. And as a writing teacher, it was like my favorite thing because, you know, you always have that kid where it's like, hey, I need you to write 5 sentences, and they get 1 sentence, and you're like, no, I have to score you down because you didn't write enough. This makes sure that they at least put some characters in there, which is good. So what we're going to cover really quickly is just this new tab. So right here, as we look across the top bar, it used to just be questions and responses. And now Google has moved settings down into this little bar. Now, I've found looking at a few other people's accounts, it just kind of depends on whether it's been rolled out by your district or your school at this point, but know that they'll probably be coming down the pipeline for you if it's not shown up yet. But what's nice is that they consolidated all their settings. So right at the top, most teachers use Google Forms as a quiz format. So it's the first thing that you see there. You can turn that on, and then you get those quiz features there. If you don't turn that on, you're removing all those quiz features, which makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on. As we saw with Kelly, all the materials for responses, including collect email addresses, response editing, and restricting users to specific domains are all right there. And then presentation, all those formats are right here, including shuffle question order, confirmation message, view summary results, those sorts of things. The other thing that you might want to take a glance at are the defaults down here, email addresses by default, or the question defaults as well. That's kind of nice here. This used to be one that you had to get an add-on where you made all the questions required by default, but now it's just one button press and everything is now required by default, which is super nice. Along with that, this is a feature that I don't see a lot of teachers using, and I just wanted to add this on there because I put it on my slides, is being able to make their form look a little bit more impressive and exciting. So up here at the top, we do have our add-on button, our preview button, our undo redo. But right here, we have our customized theme. And under that, you can choose a custom header. They have all these great ones that Google has put out there that we can, you know, if we're creating a educational one, work in school, we can grab the jelly beans or the book or whatever we want. We can also upload from our file system something that works really well, like the background for our GEGUtah newsletter. And then I can apply that to my background. And it adds a little banner at the top. And it also, you can play around the colors and the scheme to match maybe your school, classroom, something that really helps you to differentiate and make your format look really good. They've also added some font styles that make it a little bit more decorative or formal or playful if you want to as well. Where I build a lot of these, and I'm sure a lot of the other teachers on this call can kind of connect with that, is I go to Canva a lot to make my banners and things like that. So tons and tons of ways to build beautiful, interesting, kind of well-attuned form backgrounds for your upcoming projects. And so remember, it's not just about what questions you're asking, but how you're asking those questions. So it makes it look a lot more beautiful as well.
I love it. That is such a great idea. I've seen a lot of people do that. It means something, you know, when your form actually matches something. Maybe it's your school colors, like you said, or something, you know, a program or an activity that you're doing. It's a great feature for that. I did not know that there was the default all in the settings. That is exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
especially for those long forms.
Yeah, it used to be that you'd have to go in and get an add-on where it's like, I'm going to get rid of or make all of these required. And now it's one button press that's included in there, and you just boom, it's done and you're ready to roll. It's one of those things that shows that Google is really listening to us as teachers about what we need, what we want, and trying to make our lives easier as teachers going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was going to say something else about that too. Oh, I know what it was. I also love that you highlighted the settings. Sometimes settings don't seem very exciting, but that is one of the things I always suggest when I'm talking with teachers, especially when it's a new tool that maybe you're not as familiar with. Always go look through the settings. So find the jelly beans, the 3 little dots, or the hamburger menu, which is the 3 little lines. Go dig into those and read through some of the settings, because sometimes there's some things you can change that you didn't realize you could change. And so it's great to kind of get to know those, not just to memorize them, but just to kind of have an idea of what options are available, whether it's in Google Forms, another Google tool, or really anything that we use. You mentioned Canva, we use Canvas. There's all those other tools, and there's a lot of things you can do with them that maybe you weren't aware of.
Well, and going back with that to Kelly's comment, Kelly's suggestion a little bit a while ago, I love dropping in things to the final menu where, like, just to check and make sure you're paying attention. So maybe a link to a second form or another website, and it just, or maybe even a picture or something like that, to see if the kids are really paying attention to what I'm putting out there. And I think that's all embedded in your settings, and you really have to pay attention to what you can do with a tool to really see the coolness that you can do with it. So
very cool. All right. Well, thank you, Matt. Let's go ahead and keep moving. So I am up next, and I'm going to kind of continue right out of what we just said there. This is another feature that you can find kind of buried in the settings. So this is go to page based on answer. Many of you have probably done a form that is similar to this, where you fill out a set of questions, and then based on your answers, you go to another set of questions. I'm going to show you how to do this in just a second. It is all based on sections, or I've heard a lot of people call them pages in forms, where you group pages, groups of questions together. And it's located in the bottom of the little floating menu over to the side. So it's down there at the bottom. It looks like two little rectangles, but that is the new section button. And then once you've created some sections, you can go into your questions, and you can set those questions to go to sections based on the answer that your students or your users choose. And then the final thing is to go ahead and actually set those. So let's go ahead. Let me escape out of this, and let me jump over to a form. Right now, this is just a very simple form. I've given it a title, and I've created one question. And my question is multiple choice. These go to section based on answer forms will also work with like a drop down as well. So you can set them that way. They don't work with all question types, but multiple choice is a great place to start. So I just have a simple question, and my three answers are sections 1, 2, and 3. So the next step then is to actually go down and create that section. So I clicked on this button over here, and I'm just going to call this one section 1. And I'm going to create another new section. Scroll down. We're going to call this one section 2. And one more. And naturally, this will be section 3. Now, with all of these sections, I have the first one up here, and then I also have the ones I've just created. You can, with any of these, you can add questions to those sections. So I just happened to create one here in the last one. You can add more questions here as needed. You can also drag questions around once you've got different sections. But once you've created those sections, I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to find that initial multiple choice. And so I'm going to click in to edit that. And down here in the three little dots, you have to click that and then go to section based on answer. And so when you click that, you'll notice you have a new menu that pops up here. So naturally, for section 1, I want that to go to section 1. I didn't name these very well, so you can see section 1 is actually my first question. Section 2 is really my section 1, and so on. So just make sure that you match these up how you want. And then the final thing to do once you've done that is to come down, and you need to set what happens with your form after each section. So section 1, after this, after someone completes the questions here, I'm going to have them actually go and submit the form, and I'm going to do that at the end of section 2 as well. And then the last section always defaults to submit the form. That's important. Otherwise, if I hadn't set that, once my users finish section 1, they would have just gone on to section 2 and then just gone on to section 3. So remember to do that. And now to kind of give you an idea what this looks like, I'm going to go ahead and preview my form. And based on what I select, so I'm going to click section 1 and I'm going to click next. I should get taken to section 1. Remember, I didn't have any questions there, so that's empty. But if I went back, I could do section 2. And there's my question for section 2. I hadn't finished. That's why it looks so empty there. And then I could go back and do section 3 as well. And it should take me to section 3. And you'll notice all of the sections will allow me to submit the form at the end. So that is a quick little overview there of how to do go to section based on answer, which is a great thing for maybe some more complex forms. They're also great for get to know you activities as well. They give you a chance to kind of direct your students to a specific place and then get more information based on that. So great ideas today. All of these were fantastic options. I really appreciate everyone joining us. Real quick from the team before we kind of close things out, does anyone have any final thoughts? Otherwise, the final thing I'll say is go check out the links that Matt has got in the comments section over there. Join GEGUtah if you have not done that yet. But anyone else have any final thoughts they want to share on Google Forms?
I just will say, like, I didn't understand when I started using Google Forms how powerful they are as a tool. Most people would go, okay, I'm going to make a quiz out of this. But like what you just did, Ian, it creates choose your own adventure stories. You can do choice-based activities, all sorts of amazing things that your students can really dive into and do some great choice-based building activities. And it's just amazing how flexible that tool is to allow us to do so many cool things with it.
Absolutely. I've seen some neat reading activities that teachers have created, but also more excitingly is even students have created. Students have written these kind of different pathways through their writing, through their narrative writing, and then they actually put it into a Google form, which seems like a strange place to do reading, but it actually works really well. And it's a great place to, like you said, build in that choice. Anyone else want to share anything? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Like I said, final thing, let's go ahead and continue sharing about GEGUtah, not just to get more people in our group, but to to learn from other people. We all have such great ideas. I appreciate everyone who shared today. And I'm looking forward to continue learning with you as well as the rest of our GEGUtah community. So go ahead and share, and we'll see you again next month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hi.
Thank you.